Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shabbarakatham to all my brothers out in the UPK and Israel, all around the globe. And Yahweh Shema Alathan Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah to all the sisters in the UPK around the world. This is the Baltimore Tuesday night Brotherhood class for part 2. The last time we were up here, we had a lesson. It was called Brotherhood Lessons from Scriptures. What we are going to do is we are going to go through the Scriptures and show some examples of brothers and sisters who showed unity. Okay, who showed unity, and it's actually important to know what unity is, or know some examples of unity and brotherhood. Because our identity has been taken away from us, because we have lost our culture, because we have lost our language, we have lost the spirit of brotherhood. But thanks to Yahweh, through Yahweh Shah, under Commanding General Yohana, we are getting back to our identity by learning about brotherhood, by learning about unity, by learning on how to love one another. And that's what we are doing in the ISUK. We are getting back to that culture that the Most High set us up for us. All right? And this was set up thousands and thousands of years ago. However, when we learned the way of the heathen, which we were not supposed to, when our leaders started asking to be like the heathen, to integrate with the heathen, then all of a sudden we lost our sense of brotherhood. And who were we more brotherly to? We were more brotherly to the heathen. We started fighting more for the heathen than the heathen fought for himself. All right, and we started having that mentality of taking up and doing things for the best interest of the heathen. Where in contrary, we were, harming ourselves. So we lost that. But however, when we get back to these laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, we can get back to that spirit of brotherhood. And one of the ways to get back to that spirit of brotherhood is to learn of what our brothers and sisters did in the past. Learning by looking at the Scriptures. Because that is the best example. Of course, looking at Yahweh Shah's example, because pretty much everything he did was brotherly. All the actions that he took was because he loved his brothers, was because he loved his sisters, was because he loved Israel. Because he had a love for Israel. And that is what we need to do. All right? We know the spirit of brotherhood has been destroyed through the heathen vices. The heathen has set up vices to destroy brotherhood. We talked about that last time. We're just going to review. Okay? But brotherhood is important to the Lord. The Lord has said this, that it's important. Let's look at Psalm 133, verse 1. We just want to see how important brotherhood and unity is to the Most High. We're just doing a little bit of review for today, and then we're going to go through, and we're going to continue through our stories that we started last time. Last time we went through Joseph's story. We're going to just review really quickly Joseph's story before we get into another example of brotherhood. But each week we want to really look at our brothers and sisters example. And actually, in fact, we just came out of Purim. We just came out of Purim, and through that whole feast that we just celebrated, we saw examples of brotherhood. Okay? We saw it through Mordecai. Okay? How he took in Esther. How he took in Esther as his own when her parents died and raised her up to be a righteous sister. We saw what Esther did. Esther was put in a powerful position. All right? And she remembered her people. A lot of times, we'll see in our community, when one of our people get into a powerful position, what do? They just forget about their brothers and sisters. Or they'll say, well, they're complaining a lot. Okay, I quote Morgan Freeman, okay, who said this. They asked Morgan Freeman, what do you think about the race problem? What did he say? Just stop talking about it. Just stop talking about it. Like, that's going to solve the problem for blacks, Hispanics, and natives in our community. Just stop talking about it. And that's the attitude. See, when we want to be like the heathen, and when we want to be and do what the heathen does, then we start forgetting the condition that we are in. We start forgetting the condition that our brothers and sisters are in. Because we want to be so much like the heathen. And the heathen, what does he do? He likes to keep our brothers and sisters in a low state, in a slave state. So when we try to copy and emulate the heathen, then we're doing the same things that the heathen has done, that's doing to our brothers and sisters. We want to copy that and make sure our brothers and sisters are staying in a low state. We have to have the attitude like Mordecai. We have to have the attitude that we saw a couple weeks ago like Joseph or like Esther. If the Most High puts us in positions, then we need to remember our brothers and sisters. We need to remember our people. We don't want to talk, well, they can stop and pull up their bootstraps themselves. When this country has purposely made systems to destroy our brothers and sisters. But let's see how the Most High looks at these unity, which has to do with brotherhood. Psalm 133, verse 1. We got that?
Come on. Psalms chapter 133, verse 1. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
Say that one more time.
Behold, how good and how pleasant.
How good and how pleasant. It's good and pleasant for brothers to dwell in what?
In unity.
To dwell in unity. It is good and pleasant. It is important to the Most High that we dwell in unity. That actually goes back to the commandments. To love thy neighbor as you love thyself, because it's like the first commandment. So brotherhood is important. Okay? And we need to have that attitude. So let's look at some attitudes. But first of all, I'd like to go back to why don't we have brotherhood? Why? Why in the Black, Hispanic, and Native community, why is our brotherhood so destroyed? Let me get some answers here. What caused our brotherhood to be destroyed? Anybody got an answer? Or what was some cause of it? Come, sir.
Material wealth.
Can you explain that, sir?
In an effort to gain more riches or material things, we're willing to kill another man to get it. Meaning, like, for instance, everybody's familiar with the drug trade.
Come.
So, if you selling on my block and you taking money out of my pocket, then one of us got to go.
Excellent example. So pretty much drugs and material wealth that was put in our community. Drugs was planted in our community, okay, by the people, the higher ups. And then the drugs brings about competition. So now we're knocking each other off. So that's one of the reasons to destroy our unity, our community. Come, you got another one?
Selfishness among others.
Okay, selfishness among others. All right? And how do we learn that selfishness? Well, this all started back in slavery. How the slave master would put us in competition, or what we call what? Meritorious manumission. You know, slaves were rewarded if they told on another black. They were rewarded. All right, and I can't remember that black man's name. I think his name was Haywood. When there was supposed to be a slave rebellion, he went into the town of Harper's Ferry and told everybody. Because he knew about the meritorious manumission. That you would get rewarded if you go against a black. Well, that was passed on and passed down from generation to generation, where it was ingrained in blacks and Hispanics to tell on each other, to fight against each other, just so they could get a crumb from the heathen. Just so they could get a crumb from the heathen. And you got any other things that is destroyed, brother? Anybody have any other? Come.
Well, women. Sleep with another brother's woman.
Okay, women. Taking another brother's wife. Okay, and we also, that was taught to us by the heathen. Because what would the heathen do in slavery? What would he do? He'd take our women and mistreat them. Just take them right before our eyes. You know, so we would learn a lot of the habits we picked up right from the heathen. We picked up these habits. That wasn't our culture. It was a law that we shouldn't take another man's wife. That was a law. And we knew that if we broke that law, there was some consequences. But in the heathen's world, you know, it's free for all. You know, whoever you want. And that was like in Rome. Okay, just whoever you wanted, you could just take. And that's where that spirit of homosexuality came from. Those Romans and Greeks. Just whoever you wanted to take. Okay? So these are things that have been set in place. Let's talk about some other things. The feminist movement has turned us against each other. The feminist movement, how's the feminist movement turn us against each other? Anybody know? How's the feminist movement turn us against each other? Come on, sir.
I think it was just heavy that you had just brought up that thing about Purim, how Esther, when she got in a position of power, she chose to help her people. Well, in today's time, when women, they may go to school, get a degree, and get a job, they're not looking for a brother who's making less than. They look for somebody who's making more than them. So that's totally, basically, just put them away from their own people, basically. Basically, i.e., they're looking for another white guy.
Excellent point. And that's what happens. See, the feminist movement has taught our sisters and manipulated our sisters to believe that it's okay to be independent and it's okay to do bad by yourself. When the same founders of the feminist movement, the same people that push this on our sisters, go home and support a white man. They go home and support that white man. They talk all this garbage about what women should do away from men, but they will go home and support a white man. That's why I tell sisters, do not believe what these people are preaching in the feminist movement, because they don't live by it. Every culture knows the importance of their men.
Like Serena Williams, sir. I just can't get over the fact that out of all the available, men, she chose some devil, actually.
Well, and that's what happens a lot of times up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like, and I like how you brought out Esther. See, Esther had a different spirit. See, Esther was pretty much queen of that empire that was ruling the known earth. So if she had that rebellious feminist spirit, she'd have looked down on Mordecai, but she was still taking orders from Mordecai. That is righteousness. She was still obedient. The spirit of the feminist spirit that they would put in the sister today is like, girl, you over him. He don't make no money. He don't make no more money than you. Girl, you crazy. You queen. You tell him what to do. That's the spirit that they'll put on our sisters. But Esther didn't have that attitude. Esther had a righteous, because she had the spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood. She knew the law. She knew the law. Okay, and she knew to learn from a righteous brother. That's how she knew where to get her teachings from, was a righteous man of the Lord. And that's true brotherhood and sisterhood right there. That's the truth. So the feminist movement, all it has done is destroy. All it's done is just put the black man and black woman at odds. That's all it's done. No brotherhood in that. So that's another thing. Of course, abortions, killing your babies, that's definitely something that's destroyed brotherhood. Destroying our babies, killing our legacy, destroying our continuation, our lives. Okay? You know how many brothers would be around now? We could be having an army, all right, in Israel. But that's been destroyed. What else? Integration has destroyed brotherhood. And has destroyed that spirit of brotherhood. Why? Because integration has pretty much taught our people that in order to move up in this life, you have to forget your own people and sit up there and sit at the white man's table like you Barack. When you get the white man's job, when you move in the white man's community. Okay? Leave your family, leave your people, but now I got the white woman, I'm living in the white area, and now I've made it. And now I'm going to forget those other things. What do they always teach our brothers and sisters? Well, I put on my bootstraps and make it. What about you? You do the same thing. Okay, knowing that's the wrong answer, because guess what? No other culture thinks like that. Chinese did not come from the Hunan province and come to America and call back home and say, well, I made it here. Y'all got to strap the bootstraps on over there. See you struggle. What do they do? What do they do when they start making it and moving higher?
Well, one, they make it so when they do come over, they already have a business and
There's already stuff set up for them.
Exactly.
And then what do?
And then they they only buy and sell from their own people, basically.
They buy and sell from their own people.
Creating their own inner circle.
Support each other.
Yes.
I was going to say, help each other.
And they help each other, and they send back to the people that was their family members.
Yes.
They don't tell their family, I put on my bootstraps, you got to do the same thing. They don't tell their people, let's just stop talking about it. They don't say that to their people. Let's stop talking about it. that you're struggling in Hunan. Stop talking about it. They don't have that attitude. But we've been given that attitude. Of course, the political system, of course, we know the Constitution, when the Constitution was designed in, 1780 something, it was designed, of course, it didn't include blacks. Of course, it made, we were considered property. Okay, and since if we're looked at as property, then that taught other brothers to look at them, to not see value in each other. Since they didn't look at us as value, they still don't. But in slavery, also, during slavery, we're still in slavery, but you know what I mean. In the 1700s, when we were over here on the cotton fields, brothers were taught to not look at another brother as someone of value. When you see the slave master devaluing your black woman all day, devaluing your black brother all day, that puts it in your mind that that person is of no value. And that, of course, puts us in competition with each other because we want to oppress the slave master faster than the other person so we could get a crumb. Okay? So we know that different religions cause separation of brotherhood because Captain Nazariak says it best. You ask 5 black people who they are, you're going to get 5 different answers. I'm a Muslim. I'm a 5%er. I'm a Kemet or an Egyptologist, whatever. I don't know. There's so many things out there now.
Christian.
I'm a Christian. That's worse. I'm a Christian. I'm a Scientologist. Okay? It's just so many things out there, that has separated us. When all the other cultures, even if they have different things, they still unite by their identity. Chinese still will unite by their identity. They still will unite by their, but we haven't. And that's another thing. We lost our identity and we lost our language. That's why we need to get back to the Lashawan Kodash. The Lashawan Kodash, learning a language, a common language, will bring brotherhood because language, it excludes others. It excludes others and builds a commonality between brothers, okay, or between people. So those are the things that we already talked about last time that has destroyed brotherhood. So now let's get into the meat of it because, like I said, we want to get into the meat and see how our brothers and sisters in the scriptures, that's what we need to look back in, how they pretty much, we want to look back at the scriptures and see how our brothers and sisters showed brotherhood. All right, let's start, and we're going to just quickly review Joseph's story, because I don't think we got through all of it. But let's start with Joseph's story, and let's start in Genesis 42. Let's start in Genesis 42. All right, so what's the background of the story real quick? All right, we know that Joseph was one of the younger sons to Jacob. Jacob had his other sons, and they, of course, were jealous of Joseph. All right, they were jealous of him so much, you know the story. They were jealous of him so much that they ended up selling him, and he became a slave in Egypt. All right, when he was a slave in Egypt, what happened? Over time, people in Egypt saw how special and how different Joseph was, and then he got all the way up to being under Pharaoh. All right, and Joseph was obedient, he was righteous, and he ended up being pretty much governor of Egypt. That's pretty much the story of what the beginning of what's going on with Joseph's story. Then, in Egypt, since he became governor, there were 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. Okay, and so Joseph's governor of Egypt, and he's pretty much saved during the 7 years of plenty, so that people could be fed during the years of famine. And so he's governor of Egypt, and he's probably, I think, in his 30s now, mid to late 30s. He was sold as a slave around the age of 17. All right, now Joseph's in Egypt. His brothers think he's long gone dead. The brothers had sold him off. And there's a famine also in Canaan where Jacob and his sons were. So Jacob sent his sons. They went to Canaan. They went to Egypt from Canaan to pretty much get food. All right. So, they go to Egypt. And they do not know that their brother Joseph is governor of Egypt. So they go to Egypt. Let's start in Genesis 42, and let's start in verse 6. We're going to read verse 6 to 24. We're just going to review really quickly because we want to get to the other people. All right, let's go. We got that?
Come on. Genesis chapter 42, verse 6. And Joseph was the governor over the land. And it was that sold to all of the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him, with their faces to the earth.
Okay, so they bow their faces before him because they're like, it's the governor. So obviously they do not know that this is their brother Joseph. Let's continue.
7. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food.
Let's keep going, okay?
8. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him.
Okay, so they didn't know that was Joseph. Let's keep it going.
9. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies. To see the nakedness of the land ye are come. 10. And they said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food are the servants come. 11. We are all one man's son. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies.
All right, so, pretty much going from there, Joseph sent them back home. He said he would hold one of the brothers there. They had to come back with the youngest brother, who was Benjamin. Joseph wanted to see if his brother Benjamin was alive and well. All right, so let's go to Genesis 45. We just want to get to the meat of what's going on. Okay, so over time, his brothers come back, and Joseph could not refrain himself anymore, okay? His brothers come back to Egypt with Benjamin because he put like a silver cup in Benjamin's sack bag, and his brothers had to be taken back. But at this point, Joseph is now going to reveal himself to his brothers. All right, let's start here. Let's start in Genesis 45 and verse 1.
Genesis chapter 45, verse 1. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, Cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren.
Okay, so Joseph's revealing himself. Now you gotta put yourself in this situation, or you gotta think about what's going on here. Joseph's last memory of his brothers was pretty much of them throwing him in a deep pit, them selling him off, and them being very cruel to him. All right, that's the last memory he has of his brothers. His brothers think he's long gone dead. Now you got to think over the years, over the years, his brothers were carrying this burden. They had a heavy burden on their hearts, knowing or thinking in their mind that they killed Joseph. Okay, and when they came back to Egypt, when Joseph saw them again, he saw that they had a change of heart. He saw that they had to carry this burden. Okay, now Joseph being governor of Egypt, what could he have really done? Somebody answer that. What could have Joseph done, really? Come on.
Could have had him arrested.
Could have had them arrested. What else could he have done?
Could have had him put to death.
Could have had them killed. Okay? He could have had them killed. He could have had them arrested. He could have taken vengeance on his brothers. Because these brothers were the ones that put him into slavery. Joseph at 17 to know, a 17-year-old thrown in slavery by your own family, that's tough. You got to think of the mental things that he had to deal with all those years. Joseph could have done this. But however, Joseph had the true spirit of brotherhood. Let's see Joseph's attitude when he reveals himself to his brothers. And we're going to say no, because this is the attitude we need to take on. We need to take on this type of spirit when it comes to brotherhood. All right, let's go to verse 3.
Genesis chapter 45, verse 3. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence.
So they're troubled. Like, is this guy for real? This is my brother. Let's continue.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt.
Okay, so he's telling them, listen, I'm the same guy that you threw in the pit and that you sold into Egypt. It's me. They're probably, I mean, you got mad. They're sitting there like unbelievable. But notice how Joseph has not condemned them. Notice how Joseph didn't say, well, pay back, brother, you know, hey, bro, you going to have to take this L because you put me in this position. So now, you know, but that's not what Joseph does. All right? Let's see what Joseph does in verse 5.
Verse 5. Now therefore be not grieved.
Be not what?
Be not grieved.
He said, be not grieved. Don't be troubled. Okay? I know he knew how they felt. Be not grieved. Look how brotherly he's been. Okay? He didn't throw it back up in their face. He did not throw it back in their face. He said, be not grieved. Continue.
Nor angry with yourselves.
Don't be angry with yourselves. He knew the burden. Sometimes, our brothers, can't get over some things that they did. Some things are, in our community, some brothers have done stuff. But look at Joseph. Look how he's treating Israel. Do not be grieved or angry with yourself. Look how brotherly he's been. This is the spirit of brotherhood. Continue.
That ye sold me hither. For the Most High did send me before you to preserve life.
Now he's even extending it more. I was sent here to preserve life. There was a reason why that happened. Don't be grieved. Don't be angry at yourselves. Okay? So notice he's not charging them with the crime that they did. And that was a horrible act. He's not throwing it in their face. How brotherly is this? How many of us can do that, honestly? How many of us, honestly, if we were in that situation, can do that? Because some of us would probably be angry. So I'm like, what? And you're in a hot, and you are in a position where their life is in your hand. But Joseph, being brotherly here, okay, does this. Let's continue. Let's read verse 6.
Verse 6. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither bearing nor harvest. 7. And the Most High sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth.
Stop right there. Look how brotherly this is. He said, God has sent me before you to preserve you in posterity. He's not saying the same thing that some of our brothers and sisters when they get in high positions. He's not saying strap on your bootstraps and do it yourself. Notice how Joseph took it a step. The people that harmed Joseph, he took it a step further and is now going to provide for them. Look how brotherly this is. He's now going to provide for them. I mean, some people would think like, well, he could say, well, some people might just thought it was just brotherly by him saying, I ain't going to charge this against y'all. Y'all go your own way. Joseph could have just said that. Hey, you know what? I'm not mad. I'm governor of Egypt. Y'all go your own way. Tell, I'll send for my father and I'll feed, help him out. Joseph went beyond that and said, I'm going to provide you and for all your families. I'm going to provide for you. That's true love. That's loving your neighbor or your brother as yourself. That's the spirit that Yahweh Shah was talking about. That's the spirit. That's keeping the commandments. That's keeping the commandments. Continue.
And to save your lives by a great deliverance. 8. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but the Most High. And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout the land of Egypt. 9. Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith the son Joseph, the Most High hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. 10. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen.
Dwell in the land of what?
Of Goshen.
Now he even provided land for him. How many of us do that? Now he's also provided land for his people. Okay? Not only is he going to provide for them as far as that, he's even giving them land. And on land, what do you have? What do you have on land? What do you have on land? Well, yes.
Animals, crops.
Natural resources. Natural resources. So not only is he giving them, having them, not only is he not charging them with the crime, not only did he not throw it in their face, now he's going to provide for their families with a plot of land, and so that they can live off the natural resources there. That is brotherly. Notice he didn't say, well, I started from the bottom in the pits, and I had to work my way up to get governor. Y'all better start interpreting dreams. He didn't say that. He didn't tell them you better start interpreting stuff, or you better, no. Do you see how brotherly Joseph is being here? Okay, let's finish the first 15.
Come. And thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children and thy children's children, and thy flocks and thy herds, and all thou hast. 11. And there will I nourish thee.
I will what?
I will nourish thee.
I will what?
I will nourish thee.
I will nourish thee. Brotherly right here. This is the spirit of brotherhood. This is true brotherhood right here. Continue.
For yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all thou hast come to poverty.
All right. So Joseph right here is showing the true spirit of brotherhood. What lesson can we get from Joseph? The lesson we can learn from Joseph's story is that brotherhood requires long suffering. True brotherhood requires long suffering. And what does long suffering mean? Anybody know what long suffering means? What does that mean? Anybody know what long suffering means? Come on.
Slow to anger.
Like a long fuse. Okay? Definition could mean to bear injuries or provocation for a long time. Not easily provoked. This is really long. Joseph definitely showed being long suffering right here in this example. Okay? It means you're long tempered. Don't have a short fuse. Brotherhood requires us to suffer long with our brothers and sisters. And this is an example that Joseph did. He had a spirit of long suffering. Okay, he bore those injuries that his brothers did to him. Okay, but he still did not take that charge against them and throw it in their face. Not only did they want to step further and provide for them and their families, gave them land, gave them access to the natural resources. That's true brotherhood right there. That's the spirit of brotherhood. That's true love for your neighbor, for your people. That's true love. That shows when you really get into a position what you should do. This is an example for black, Hispanics, and natives. And some of these, and a lot of times when we were in these heathen nations, the Mossad, these heathens would, pretty much elevate one of us, like Daniel, like a Joseph, and like an Esther, and they would be in positions of power. And then notice in all those examples, they did not once forget their people. They did not once forget their identity. They did not forget their God. They did not forget the Most High. They didn't forget. They didn't want to, amalgamate, mix in, and forget and take on the cultures of the heathen. Because when you take on the cultures of the heathen, the first thing you do is forget where you came from and forget who your people are. Right. You forget because you want to be the heathen. You want to be him. You want to be the white man. You want to be him. So you have to do things that won't remind you of being a black, Hispanic, or native. Got to get the white man's woman. You got to live in the white man's neighborhood. You got to get the white man's job. You got to put down your brothers and sisters. So these are all the things that comes with it when you try to take on the culture of the heathen. These are the things that come with it. Notice, though, our brothers and sisters, like Joseph, when they got in those positions of power, the first thing they did is remember their people. And that's the attitude we need to have. All right? Let's continue with Joseph. let's look at Genesis 50. Let's look at Genesis 50, 15 through 21.
Genesis chapter 50, verse 15. And when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead.
Okay, so over time we know that what happened? Jacob dies. He brought Jacob back over to Egypt, and Jacob was happy. But Jacob eventually died. So let's see what his brothers are thinking now.
They said, Joseph will peradventure hate us, and will certainly requite us all the evil which we did unto him.
Okay, so now they're like, okay, well now that our father's dead, Joseph's going to exact revenge on us of the crime because of the crime that we committed. All right, let's see what Joseph said.
16. And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, Thy father did command before he died, saying, 17. So ye shall say unto Joseph, Forgive, I pray thee now, the trespass of thy brethren, and their sin, for they did unto thee evil. And now we pray thee forgive the trespass of the servants of the Most High thy father. And Joseph wept when they spake unto him.
See how much compassion Joseph has for his brothers? He knows the burden that they were bearing. He knew the burden that they were bearing. And when they sent that to him, it probably touched him. All right? So he wept about it. Because he wants his brothers to know that, that's not his purpose. He told them what he wanted to do. He even told them that he was sent there by the will of the Most High. That it was the Most High's will that he was sent to Egypt. All right? Let's find out what happens next. Continue.
18. And his brethren also went and fell down before his face. And they said, Behold, we be thy servants. And Joseph said unto them, Fear not, for am I in the place of the Most High? 20. But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but the Most High meant it unto good, to bring to pass as it is this day, to save much people alive.
All right, so he's telling the reason why this happened. You guys intended to do harm to me, but this was all turned around for good. This was all turned around for good. All right, let's finish it off. Verse 21.
21. Now therefore fear ye not. I will nourish you.
Notice once again, I will nourish you. Once again, look at the spirit of brotherhood. And Joseph had the power to do it.
Yeah.
I will nourish you. Listen, don't worry. Y'all are going to be good. You and your families are going to be good. Continue.
And your little one.
Everybody's going to be taken care of. I got you. Can you imagine if all the blacks and Hispanics that are in power or positions look back at their people and said, I got you? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? I got you. Listen, I got you. What do people say? Well, black people always want handouts. See, nobody else thinks like that. Nobody else thinks like that. The Asian man ain't saying to his brother that's struggling, what you want, a handout or something? He provides. He helps. He gets them that bit. He makes them a partner. He makes them a partner. He creates a business for him. This is my, I've seen it so many times. They make a business for them. Okay, I got a store. We're going to make sure you get a store. I got a Dunkin' Donuts. You're going to get a Dunkin' Donuts. I got a 7-Eleven. You're going to get a 7-Eleven. That's these heathens thinking when they come over here. I do nails. You're going to do nails. I got a nail shop. I'm going to set my nail shop. I'm going to help you set up a nail shop. And they make sure they have it. That's what we have to have. Can you imagine all the blacks and Hispanics that are in power just look back and say, I got y'all. I got y'all. Continue. Let's finish off 21.
And he comforted them and spake kindly unto them.
Yeah, and he's being kind.
22.
That's a lot. That's good. All right. So the lesson from Joseph is that brotherhood requires us to suffer along with our brothers and sisters. That's the first lesson That's the first something that I want you to take note of. True brotherhood requires long suffering. Think about the injuries that Joseph took. Think about the pain that Joseph took. Because sometimes, you will see in our community, the people that will bring you pain will bring pain to each other. But we have to learn to suffer along, like we do every week when we go out to camp. All right? Every week we go out to camp, a lot of times, it ain't the heathen that's coming at us, it's our own. Oh, y'all racist. Yeah. Y'all, I remember one time we saw at camp a hard brother. Now, I'm shocked when I think about it because, and I'm not indicting the brother, but this brother was doing stuff to destroy his people, and we did a white man boot kiss, and he snapped. Y'all are racist because one white man was just kissing our boot. And this is the mindset that captivity has put us in. We have been put in that mindset. We have so much pity for a white man to kiss our boot, but when we look at each other, we're ready to take each other's head off. This is what captivity has done to us. We're ready to take each other's heads off. But we'll have pity for a white man that's kneeling down and kissing our boots. They're sorry for the crimes that his ancestors did. When we get the boot kiss, they're acknowledging that they are sorry for the crimes that their ancestors did. So we have to have that, the long suffering. All right. Now, so let's look at the next person we want to look at. So we see the example from Joseph. Let's look at Moses' example. All right. I'm sure everybody knows the story of Moses. We know that Moses, first of all, actually it's a continuation of Joseph's story. Joseph and his family and the Israelites dwelt in Egypt over time. A new Pharaoh rose up that didn't know Joseph, and Israelites are multiplying. They're getting larger, they're getting a lot bigger. Started scaring Egyptians. They're like, we need to oppress them. Okay, we're going to oppress them unless they become a mighty army. And you see that same, and I like how General Yohanan says it, America is the modern day Egypt. Yes. America is that Egypt. And just like those Hamite Egyptians were scared that we'll be too mighty for them, they did stuff and set things up to destroy those Israelites in the scriptures. It's the same thing they do to the black man, Hispanic man, and Native man today. They set systems up to make sure that we are wiped out because they don't want an army to come against them. They fear us. So that's why they set schemes and stuff. So this is the modern day. So we're reading about what we're living now. That's what we're reading about when we go through Moses' story. All right, we're not going to go on through Moses' story, but let's start in Exodus chapter 1, 8 through 14. Let's just start there. We're just going to do a little bit of background, and then we're going to get to Moses' spirit that Moses was in. Let's start in Exodus chapter 1. Let's read verse 8.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
Okay, so there's a new king in Egypt, so of course this is over time. They don't know who Joseph is. Joseph is long gone by now. Now you got a new king that's rose up. Verse 9.
Verse 9. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
Okay, you got to think, it's the same thing, the same spirit that they have in America. The blacks and Hispanics, because can you imagine if we did not have to deal with the pains of our slavery, so that the pains of being molested, the pains of being in broken homes, the heathen knows we'd be far ahead of him. Look what we do with the pain that we have. We're always number one on the top Billboard charts. We're always the best athletes. We're always the best inventors. We're always the best scientists. We're always, pretty much you put us in anything, we're going to dominate. And that's with abuse. That's with 400 years of pain, or plus of pain and abuse. Slavery, Jim Crow, lynchings, all the things that you can think of. That's with that. So the other nations know that, man, if we didn't have that, if we didn't have all of that as hindrances and all those, do you imagine what we of course, the heathen knows that we would be mightier than that. And we will be. That's the thing. And it's going to happen. We just have to get back and do what the Most High says. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Okay? The Most High is going to repay the heathen nations that have harmed Israel. But what we have to do is we have to get back to these laws, statutes, and commandments so we won't be destroyed. Because our destruction comes from us not following the Most High. Our lack of brotherhood comes from us not following and doing what the Most High says. That's where our lack of brotherhood comes from. All right? Let's continue.
10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burden.
Okay, same thing that happens, overseers in slavery, taskmasters, okay, in modern day thinking, they set up businesses where blacks can never have their own business, where we're just always workers, we don't have any business in our lives, so we're usually always going to work for the heathen. Okay, he's usually our boss, and we just sit up there. So that's the same thing. Or what happens is our modern day taskmaster can be, think of our black athletes. You got the owner up in the press box, got the athletes down, working hard, slaving, but they take that black talent and they just get rich off of it. Okay, they take black labor, whatever the black is doing, they just become rich off of it. Same thing. Continue.
And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
Okay, so they growing. They're getting larger here. Okay?
And they were grieved.
Okay. They were grieved because of the children of Israel. They were grieved. Okay? It grieved them. Okay? Continue.
Because of the children of Israel. 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
Okay, made them serve with rigor. Okay? It's the modern day prison system. It's modern day prison system, right? I mean, it's the prison system what we see modern day. Okay? We get those black men in there. We make sure that black men are locked up. 2 million, am I correct? Over 2 million black men. Okay? They're gonna always do things to make sure that the black man is in a underclass state. And they do things. All right, continue.
14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar, and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
Okay, so they make them serve with rigor. They're coming down on them. They're going to make sure that they're in a slave state at the bottom. Capitalism at its best. Okay? It's just the same thing, like I said. Like Commander General says. Okay, this is the modern day Egypt. Capitalism right here. Going to make sure they stay at the bottom. Make sure that they serve with rigor. Same thing we see nowadays. All right? So what happened? Let's skip over to Exodus 2 now. All right? We're just getting some background of the story. Let's go to Exodus 2. And let's look at verse 23. We just want to get background of the story so we can see how where Moses comes in and when Moses used that spirit of brotherhood concerning his people. Now you got to remember, Moses, when it shows Moses saw the conditions that his brothers was going to. He saw that they were in slavery. He saw the hardships that they were going through. All right, let's read Exodus 2, verse 23.
Exodus chapter 2, verse 23. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage. And they cried, And their cry came up unto the Most High by reason of the bondage.
All right, so they're crying to be delivered. They don't like their condition. Okay, and of course we don't like our condition today.
Yeah.
We don't like the condition we're in. Okay, but how are we gonna get out? Turning back to the law, statutes, and commandments. That's how we're gonna get out of this condition. Continue.
And the Most High heard their groaning, and the Most High remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob.
Most High remembers the covenant that he made with Abraham. He remembers that promise. Okay, it shows how faithful the Most High is to his people. Continue.
25. And the Most High looked upon the children of Israel, and the Most High had respect unto them.
Okay. All right, so now they're crying, the children of Israel crying, hey, help us, we'd like to be delivered. So what happens, okay? We don't have to get you, so pretty much what happens, let's sum it up. Moses is called to do it, okay? Moses saw pretty much the abuse of his people, okay? We know Moses actually grew up in the house of Pharaoh, okay, in Egypt, all right? And then he went out to look on the affliction of his brothers, okay? And when he saw, I think what was it? He saw his brothers. I think one of his brothers being afflicted, and he killed an Egyptian.
Yeah.
Okay, so Moses pretty much saw one of his brothers being harmed by an Egyptian. He killed that Egyptian. See, Moses did. Moses. He didn't like the suffering of his people. Anybody that really loves the black and Hispanic man of our people, we're going to be moved and grieved when we see the suffering of our people. Okay, if we truly love blacks and Hispanics, if we truly love, we're going to be moved. We're not going to have the attitude, just stop talking about it. That shouldn't be your attitude. We're going to be grieved when we see the suffering of our people. Okay, we're not going to say, well, what was something else that we heard? I never experienced rape. I think was it?
Oh, Sly.
Come.
That was Lil Wayne. He said, I never experienced racism.
Okay, we're not going to have that attitude when you're in a race, this whole system was created to destroy you. All right? We're not going to have that attitude. We're going to be moved like Moses. We're going to be grieved when we see our brothers in a suffering state, like Moses did. So, over time, we know Moses was called to come deliver the Israelites, to come deliver them out of Egypt. So, what happens? Moses comes to Egypt. Well, Moses had to flee Egypt after he killed the Egyptian. Okay, so he had to flee. But then the Most High sent him back over some years. Moses comes back. Okay, and Moses tells the Pharaoh, let my people go. Gotta let them go. Pharaoh, of course, is hardened, and then plagues hit Egypt. The plagues are hitting the Egyptians. The Egyptians are being plagued. The final, the plague is when what happened in our Passover, where the firstborn of Egypt is destroyed, caused Pharaoh to say, get out of here, get out of Egypt. So the children of Israel now come out of Egypt, and Moses is leading them out of Egypt. All right, Moses leading them out of Egypt, and they come to the wilderness. All right, they're in the wilderness now. So what happens when they come to the wilderness? Let's go to Exodus 19. Okay, so now we see the story here. The reason we're getting background because we want to see context of Moses' attitude. So Moses has all this compassion for his people. He wants his people to live. He wants his people to dwell, to be happy. And he wants his people to obey the Most High. Okay? He wants his people to obey the Most High. And now they come to the mountain. Because now Moses is going to, now the Most High is pretty much going to let Moses and tell the people, these are the rules. This is the guideline. Okay? This is what you need to do. To be a nation, to be my people, this is the rules you have to follow. All right, now he's going to set the premise. Let's go to Exodus 19 and let's read start at verse 7.
Exodus chapter 19, verse 7. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all of the words which the Most High commanded him. Okay,
so Moses is coming and telling all the heads, the leaders, okay, this is what the Most High wants. Okay, So he's telling them all that the Most High has commanded. These are the terms what the Most High wants. All right? Now, let's see what the people say. Let's see what Israel says. Verse 8.
Verse 8. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Most High hath spoken, we will do.
They agreed to the commands. Hey, everything the Most High says, we're going to do it. So now they agreed to the commands. They agreed to it. All right? Let's continue.
And Moses returned the words of the people to the Most High.
Okay? So now he returns to the people and says, hey, all right, this is what, he returned, this is what's going on, okay? The people have agreed. Verse 9, let's read it.
Verse 9, and the Most High said unto Moses, Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Most High.
Okay. Go ahead. All right. So pretty much Moses, he's pretty much telling the Most High. Telling the people the commands of the Most High. The people agree. All right. So now what happens in the story? Okay. Let's go to one more scripture. I just want to go to a couple scriptures showing what Israel wanted to do. Let's go to Exodus 24 and verse 7. I just want to show these scriptures as showing that Israel agreed to the terms of the Most High, because we're going to see Moses' attitude when Israel does not obey the Most High, because we're going to see how Moses remains in the spirit of brotherhood. You got to remember, all these people in the scriptures had a choice to not be in the spirit of brotherhood. Esther really could have came out the spirit of being a true sister of Israel by not obeying the word of Mordecai. She could have said, I'm queen now, bruh. I know you raised me, but I'm queen. Joseph was in a position to say, you know what? You guys really did evil towards me, and since I'm governor, you're going to suffer like I have. I want you to see these examples, because Moses is going to be in a similar situation. So these are people in positions of authority. All these people are in some type of position of authority, and their attitude remains in the spirit of brotherhood. So let's look. All right, let's look at Exodus 24, verse 7.
Exodus chapter 24, verse 7. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Most High have said will we do, and be obedient.
So Israel has agreed to be obedient. They say, hey, we're going to be obedient. Okay, now we know the story. Not too long, I would say not too long, but after that, Israel did not keep their end of the bargain. We know that when Moses was up in the mountain, the children of Israel made a golden calf and started pretty much going against all what the Most High told them to do. All right, so let's read now Exodus 32, verse 1. Okay, so Moses went up to the mountain. He's receiving instructions from the Most High, but the people are down from the mountain, and they're pretty much doing wickedness. Let's read that. Let's read Exodus 32, verse 1.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 1. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us, as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we want not what is become of him.
All right, we don't know where Moses is. Hey, let's go after other gods real quick. Really quickly. Agree to what the Most High, but quickly, we turned ourselves around to go after other gods, to go after other powers. Okay, we always quickly want to go after other powers. We always want to quickly leave our identity. We always want to do this. Is integration right here. I want to integrate and go after other gods. I want to leave my power and I want to go after other powers. Integration. It's the same spirit. Okay? I want to go after other gods. I want to be like the other nations. Okay? I I want to have their days. I want to do Christmas. I want to do Easter. I want to do Halloween.
Yeah.
I want to do these holidays because it brings us together and it makes me happy. What's wrong with these holidays? Okay? Same type of attitude. Same spirit. Let's continue.
Verse 2. And Aaron said unto them, break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me.
Okay, so now they're about to pay tribute and honor to, powers, to false powers. All right, false gods. Okay, now they're about to make a Christmas celebration. It's like a Christmas celebration. Breaking off, putting ornaments and gift givings and just, now they're trying to be festive. Okay, because how do they cover it up for Christmas? Well, it's just happy. We're just giving gifts. What's wrong with giving gifts? Okay? And they're doing the same attitude right here. Okay? You're giving gifts to each other. You're putting gifts under a tree. You're being festive. What's wrong with that? Continue.
And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. 4. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned with it a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which...
Right here, Slacken. Same spirit. These be the power. I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. Same type of spirit. This is my president's Biden. We've done it. Look, these be our powers. Same attitude you see today. My president's Biden. Okay, we've done what happened with Biden? I mean, you saw us. And when Biden became president, black people were rejoicing like a milestone. We've done it. I'm talking about, we've done it. Biden's good. Kamala's good. Same as this be our gods. This is our power. Same type of attitude. Continue.
O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
Same time. You notice how every time I guess are more blacks Democratic?
Now.
Okay.
That's prior after coming out of Reconstruction, we were Republican.
We were Republican.
Yeah, and then up into the Civil Rights Movement, we switched to
Have you noticed something? When blacks get like a crumb, we have a habit of pretty much giving credit to the heathen of freeing us. Lincoln freed us. Bill Clinton. We always get this be the guy that freed us. Now changes have come because Kennedy's in office. Now changes have come because this man's in office. Now comes.
I remember people were saying Bill Clinton was the first black president.
I remember Bill Clinton was the first black president. Bill Clinton was throwing blacks left and right in jail with the 3-strike rule. This is the guy that same answer. These are the gods that brought us out of Egypt that's freeing us. These are the powers. Same type of attitude. Same type of attitude. Biden is the one. Now we're free because Biden. Now we're free. Continue.
And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, tomorrow is a feast to the Most High.
Okay, same thing that they do. They'll take pagan and heathen traditions and try to slap the Most High's name on it. Well, Christmas, that's giving. God does that. God does giving. Thanksgiving, I'm thankful to God. I'm thankful, even though we're being thankful for the slaughter of natives. I'm thankful for the turkey. I'm thankful to be around. I thank God for that. That's the same type of thing that we do. Valentine's Day. Well, I'm thankful that God has provided me with the spouse that I have, and so I will give her gifts and chocolates. I'm thankful. It's the same type of attitude. Same type of attitude. I'm thankful for the 4th of July. Well, if this is the best country we could be in. This is the best. Listen, if we weren't in, we'd still be, somewhere somewhere in a lower state. We should be thankful we're in America. It's the best place we could be in. Same type of attitude. Continue.
6. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and bought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play.
All right, so now we see that, they're rising up, making feasts. This is the same thing we do. So Israel broke they broke their word. They told the Most High in a couple chapters before, everything you said we're going to do. They just said that. They're not doing it. So, okay, now, the Most High is going to respond. Okay, we're going to see the Most High's response. All right, he's going to respond to this of what Israel's doing. They're up. They're going after other powers. They're going after other gods. Now they're giving these other gods credits. We do the same thing today. We give our credit to Democrats. We give credit to the politician. We give credit to the boss that took us out, the white man that took us out of the hood. We give all that credit to, but we don't give credit. We don't give. Well, first of all, we don't ever give credit to the Most High like we should in our community. And you know why we don't give credit to the Most High? Because we don't go back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. That's why we don't give credit. Because we always say, well, I'm a Christian now, and I don't have to do that's Old Testament. You'll hear that, the Christian church will destroy you. That's Old Testament. It's all been nailed to the cross. You hear it all. Always an excuse. Always an excuse. We always have an excuse to disobey the Most High. But what we do is we'll make sure that we're at those voting polls.
Yeah.
We'll go out of our way to vote for that white man. Go out of our way. Won't do the Passover or the feast. The days the Most High said come, but we won't go make sure. Make sure you vote. Hey, you vote? Hey, you vote? We'll have that attitude. But we ain't running into, but we'll make every excuse to keep the Most High these days. We'll make every excuse to do what the Most High says. But we'll do everything we can in our power to make sure we put a heathen in charge of our communities.
Yeah.
Go out of our way. Hey, take off today and vote. Hey, do what you got to do to vote. They'll have commercials, have Christian pastors on there. Everything's on there just to put a heathen in office. Okay? And so we have this attitude that we have to say, all right, so we're going to go in and continue. I'm going to read some, sir. I'm going to read some. All right, let's look at verse 7. It said, go ahead.
Verse 7. And the Most High said unto Moses, Go get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves.
Okay, so the Most High is not happy. They're going crazy. All right? They're going crazy right now. So the Most High said, get down, they corrupted themselves. Verse 8.
Verse 8, they have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded.
They just said we agreed to it, now they've gone haywire. They've gone quickly to turn aside, continue.
Which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. And the Most High said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people.
These people are hard-headed. That's pretty much what that is. These people are hard-headed. They will not listen. They don't listen. They're very hard-headed. They don't want to do what I ask, but they'll put ornaments on a Christmas tree quickly. Okay, they'll sell another brother out quickly. All right, verse 10.
Verse 10. Now therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them.
Do what?
Wax hot against them.
Both sides, and he said, leave me alone. For my wrath is going to wax hot against them. And he's going to do what? Continue.
And that I may consume them. And I will make thee of thee a great nation.
So I want us to really think about it. The Most High just made a judgment. Really, if you think about it. And it's righteous. It's a righteous judgment. The Most High pretty much said, leave me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, that I may consume them. Made a judgment. Okay? Israel did not keep their end of they didn't keep their word. Okay? They knew about the blessings and the cursings, and they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So they knew that they knew there would be consequences if you disobeyed. But they still, and so the Most High made a judgment. And a precept to this is Psalm 19, verse 9. Okay, it says the judgments of the Most High are true and righteous altogether. Most High made a judgment, and it's righteous. All right. Now, let's see what Moses does. Now, we gotta imagine. First of all, the Moses is here. He hears what's going to happen to Israel. He hears the judgment. Now, Moses could have said, well, you know what? They did agree to it. They didn't keep their end of the bargain. Now, look what Moses was told, too. Look what he told Moses. Read the end of verse 10. Read that last part. And I will make.
Exodus 32, the end of verse 10. I will make of thee a great nation.
Oh, make Moses a great nation. Okay? Tell Moses, hey, I'm going to consume them. I'm going to make you a great nation. Now, Moses is going to say, well, you know what? Hey, your judgments are true. Who am I to go against what you said? I mean, really think about what Moses could have said. Who am I to go against you? I mean, I'm not going to go against my power. I know what you can do. I saw all the stuff you did to the Egyptians. So who am I? Let's see what Moses' attitude is. Okay? Let's see what Moses does. Because right here is another part, another great example of brotherhood. Let's read verse 11.
Verse 11. And Moses besought the Most High.
What does that mean? What does besought mean?
He petitioned him. He asked him repetitiously, or
right.
He pleaded.
He pleaded with. You're pleading with the Most. Hey, don't destroy them. Okay, he sat there pleading for his people. How much love does he have? Look at that spirit. Look at that attitude. Continue.
He besought the Most High his power, and said, Lord, why doth thou wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt, with great power and with a mighty hand?
Go ahead.
For should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and consume them from the face of the earth. Turn from thy fierce wrath, and repent of this evil against thy people.
Look at that. Look what Moses is saying. That's real serious if you think about it. Because, first of all, I know me. I'm not saying I'm Moses, but I'd be too frightened to say anything. I'd be like, oh, okay. Seriously, you got to think. You got the judgments of the Most High are true and righteous. The judgment he makes is righteous. I don't know if I could have said what Moses said. I'd be too scared anyway. I'd be like, well, I probably would be out of words. Because what can you say? What really can you say in this situation? Do you see Moses, the heart Moses has for his people, to sit up there and plead with the Most High? Not only did he plead with him, he said to the Most High, turn away your wrath from destroying these people. Because he had a heart for his people. He had compassion. That is true brotherhood. That you don't want to see your people suffer or destroyed. This is the same heart that General Yohanan teaches us every week when we go out to camp. Why do we go to camp? Why? Because we are trying to plead with our people so that they won't be destroyed. Because if they keep doing the things that they're doing, and I'm talking about all of us, if we keep doing the sins that we're doing, we will be destroyed. That's why we go to camp every week. That's why Commander General Yohanan teaches us to go to camp. Because we're going to war. Because we want to plead with our brothers and our sisters. not to keep doing the things that's going against the Most High. Because we know if our people keep doing that, then it can cause destruction. And it has caused destruction. And it has caused destruction. You see the attitude here. Continue.
Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thine own self, and saidest unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. 14. And the Most High repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people.
Look at that. Most High, he heard Moses. He heard Moses. Now the question is, why did he hear what Moses had to say? Why? Does anybody know why? Because this is something we need to think about. Why did he hear Moses, and why did he listen to what Moses said? Anybody know? Come on.
Because it was righteous for him to plead on behalf of his brothers.
Yeah, Moses wasn't the right attitude. Anything else? Well, you pretty much nailed it. Well, why? Well, the one reason Moses was righteous. Moses was obedient to the Most High. Moses was a humble man. Moses was a man of character. There's a scripture, there's a precept in John 9:31. Let's pull that real quick. Let's get a precept. Okay? And this will help explain. Let's look at John 9:30. Hold your place in, hold your place in Exodus, and let's look at John 9:31. Let's get a precept. Moses was a man of character. That means he obeyed the Most High. That means he could plead for his people to the Most High because he was an obedient man. He was a humble man. It says Moses was the most humble man to face the earth. We got that?
Come on. John, chapter 9, verse 31. Now we know that the Most High hears not sinners.
Hears not what?
Not sinners.
Hears not what?
Not sinners.
He does not hear sinners. The Most High would not have heard Moses. Well, first of all, Moses wouldn't even be that close anyway. Moses wouldn't have been there. Okay? But he does not hear sinners. But what does he do? What does he hear? Or who does he hear?
But if any man be a worshiper of the Most High and doeth his will, him he heareth.
Him he what?
Him he heareth.
Him he what?
Him he heareth.
He hears the ones that are obedient and do his will. Moses was a man of character that did the will of the Most High. And that's why the Most High, okay? That's why the Most High heard Moses' plea. That's why he heard it. And that's why he did not destroy. That's why he heard it. That's why he turned around what he was going to do. Okay? All right? Moses had love for his people. He had compassion for his people, his nation. Okay? This is true brotherhood. Okay? This is true brotherhood. So, because Moses was a man of character, and that's a lesson that we need to learn. What's the lesson that we can learn from Moses? Is that brotherhood requires us to be men and women of character. That's the lesson we need. Brotherhood requires us to be men and women. We can't be going to camp every week and we're not living it. We can't. Because how are we going to help our brothers? How are we going to plead to our brothers that we're not changed? Okay? So, the lesson we can learn from Moses is that brotherhood requires us to be men and women of character. The Most High would not have heard Moses' plea or cry for his people if he was not a man of character. Think about Yahweh, how unique he was. Okay? He was the Most High's special son. Okay? And so when he prayed on behalf of his people, the Most High would listen. Okay? So we are not men and women of character, then we cannot be, then the Most High won't hear us. All right? Then we cannot, us as men, we cannot be warriors going out to camp every week. Okay? And we cannot fight for the lives of our brothers and sisters who are out there. Okay? Because our disobedience will cause us to be consumed. All right? So we have to be men and women of character to help our nation. Just like Esther was a woman of character that helped her nation. Right? Esther was obedient. She was obedient to a man of the Most High. So being a person of character and being obedient will be a tool to help save your people. And that's the spirit of brotherhood. All right? So lesson number 1 that we got today. Let's review really quickly because we still have more lessons. Lesson 1 from Joseph's example is true brotherhood requires us to be long-suffering. That's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 from Moses is true brotherhood requires us to have character. Okay? And if we have character, through our character, we can stand for our people so that they won't be destroyed. Being long-suffering and having character. These are the attributes of brotherhood. All right? These are the attributes. So we are going to go ahead, of course, and continue this the next time. We did Joseph's example and we did Moses. Next week we're going to look at, not next week, in a couple of weeks, we're going to look at Jonathan's example. And then we're going to look at David's example. Then we're going to look at Daniel's example. We're going to try to go through all the way until we get to Yahushua. Okay? But to learn the true spirit of brotherhood, we need to look at these examples in Scripture to get to get back to what true brotherhood is all about. Okay? And with that, we're going to stop here for the day. And with that, I'd like to turn this class over to priest and officer of 500, Nawar. Shalom, Israel.
ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the word. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. It means tenth in Hebrew is pronounced ma'ashra. 1/10 of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, you give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, but it is not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations, we got the Passover, April 24th. That's our next, but you can check isupk.com and get a list of all the upcoming feast and high holy days. Remind Akim and Aquafium to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirts, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, we're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat, Imagine Barak, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Barakathon,
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Barakathon.
Y'all know Matah?
Slack it. I said it wrong. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Barakathon. Slack it.
Y'all know Matah? Class dismissed.